On today's starting nine, Carl and Snake sit down with all-star pitcher and friend of the program, Shane Greene, to talk about his crazy journey in Major League Baseball and why it's not over yet. Very inspiring stuff from the big fella. But before that, we have announcements, a grab bag, massive headlines, hot stove action, and a trip to the commissioner's office. It's episode 55 of Starting Nine. Let's get into it. Action! And welcome back to Starting Nine. Carl here in Chicago, Snake in Austin. Loaded show today for everybody. We know it's a super busy time of the year, lots of news. As we said in the intro, Shane Greene's going to be coming on and talk a little bit about where he's at with this comeback. Crazy story, get the behind the scenes with that. A new segment, welcome to the commissioner's office. I also did a lot of homework on the qualifying offers if you want to get weird and nerdy with me. But first, I have a grab bag. It's been a while since we talked, brother.
It feels like we haven't done a show in a couple weeks. Yeah, it's been a little while. It's good to see you again. The weather here is taking a turn for the worse. Trying to stay motivated and disciplined and get my work done. I've got so many Christmas trees going up in the house, like we talked about, like pressure to be festive for all the holiday seasons and just Amazon boxes just with decoration after decoration. So we're getting the house ready for not only for Thanksgiving, but now Christmas. It seems a little early, but it's looking good. It's looking good. If Mama wants it, that's what we got to do.
Amen to that. And it's never too early for Christmas in this house. And by this house, I mean, obviously, my house. Because I don't have enough time. From after Thanksgiving to Christmas, it just isn't enough time for how festive I can get. If you're familiar with the saying, big dogs take big shits, big houses need a lot of decorations. And that's just the way it goes.
Do we need four trees?
Let's get in the grab bag. Here, all right, we got a grab bag here. I want to get loose. All right, opening question of the grab bag. Grab bag has made its way around the Barstool Chicago office for a number of years. It's been out of commission on Redline Radio. I'm bringing it back to Starting Nine. Just a loose feeler exercise here to get going on the show. Like I said, Shane Greene, ton of off-season stuff. But first I have to ask, opening question. Texas versus TCU this weekend under the lights. You were there. Now to hanging Christmas lights in the – we need a name for your house because I don't want to call it a mansion, but it is. But so for now, I'll just say hanging Christmas lights in the mansion. More enjoyable experience. Under the lights, TCU, even though it's 27 points, are getting bossed around with four trees hanging the lights.
I mean, that's an easy one. I mean, the TCU-Texas game was just an unbelievable experience, and being around – I'm in TCU gear. I got a TCU purple polo on, and I got the TCU hoodie on top of that. And, in a suite with all Texas fans. Great people, by the way, but they were so damn sure that the Horns were going to take the Frogs down. And there's been this relationship with Texas and TCU for as long as I can remember of TCU's kind of the little brother, always getting overlooked, never getting the respect that they deserve. It's changing a little bit, but hey, I mean, Texas was 6-3 coming into the game, and yes, they've looked better in the past couple weeks, but nobody could respect the wins that TCU had the last 4 or 5 weeks. That's some pretty impressive wins. A lot of them were come from behind wins. I think this was the best defense that TCU has played all year. A 3-0 score at halftime. It was kind of a boring game for a while, but I enjoy the defense. I thought the defense was something that I expected. And if you're a betting man, I was looking at the over-under like, I don't know if there's going to be that many points scored. And obviously there wasn't. There was a lot on the line for both sides. Not as much, Texas, them now being 6-4, but TCU's playoff chances and shot at a national title are still intact. Keep hearing that, could you imagine if TCU plays Georgia, Georgia's going to blow them out? We'll see. Just to even be in this position, they haven't been here in a long time, so it's cool to be, a former an alumni of TCU and seeing these boys, play as good as they are and getting to be on the field. I mean, we're on the field for I'd say half the game. and I mean, they're college players, but man, you stand up close to them. It's wild to see how big they are. They're just enormous human beings.
Athletes. I know I threw 2 touchdowns in the Illinois spring game. People forget that, and I remember being around the players and thinking that and saying, "Wow, these guys are very impressive from one D1 athlete to another." Explosiveness. Now, people were saying Arch Manning was on the sidelines. It's a tough situation for Arch because, Texas isn't hanging points. Quite the opposite. If I'm Arch Manning, I see him hang 10 points at home on a Saturday night. I'm licking my chops to get under center there. These guys stink. So that'll be exciting for you. Have Austin, Arch Manning coming to town. That's big news, man.
Yeah. I mean, Ewers he's up and down. I don't know. He didn't look great. The one interception that he threw was not a very competitive pass into double coverage. I'm glad it happened. There was a big turnover on each side. But the quarterback play from TCU has been really, really good. Protecting the football, not turning the ball over, consistently is how you win games. So just excited for him. It's a good time to be a TCU fan.
Amen. I'll get some purple. I have limited purple in the collection. Don't send me anything. I'll get it myself. I know a guy. I can get it. I got promo codes. But I'll add some purple to the collection. Another thing here on the grab bag, again, we're just getting loose. We have a huge show. Tons of baseball stuff we're going to get to. Here's a little note. Babe Ruth, this is crazy to me. Babe Ruth had a glove that just got $1.5 million at auction. It's a baseball glove that he personally donated to St. Louis Browns third baseman Jimmy Austin. They sold it, I think, a couple weeks ago. Yeah, $1.5 million. This is a glove Babe Ruth had. Then he gave it to a third baseman to use. I guess this guy kept it forever and then gave it to his daughter or something. The thing's been heavily authenticated. It's a great story for memorabilia because it's like 5 times the price of, I guess, the last glove or the second highest selling glove of all time. The only question I have here is that Babe Ruth was left-handed and this Jimmy Austin fellow was right-handed. Although I figure if you played baseball back then, every single one of those guys was ambidextrous. They're swinging hammers.
Well, if it was a gift, maybe it wasn't for him to use. And I'm looking at the glove now. It appears to have a signature on it. I don't know if that's like a stamped thing or if it's actually signed by Babe Ruth. It's hard to tell there. It looks like it could be an authentic signature. As far as price goes, and the crazy values that cards and memorabilia are going for, it doesn't seem like that crazy of a price. I mean, look, it's $1.5 million, which is a shit ton of money, but the 51 or 52 Mickey Mantle that sold for 25 or 30 million, just for comparison. So it doesn't seem all that crazy, but it's a good time to be, borderline billionaire, because then you can just buy whatever the hell memorabilia you want.
And we will keep the audience updated on when it becomes a bad time to be a billionaire, you said, B?
Yeah, I guess it's never a bad time to be a billionaire, but all the memorabilia and the most valuable shit is all going to them.
Last take on this Babe Ruth thing. The cool part to this is like Babe Ruth, home runs, the bats, the balls, the autographs. This is the secondary collectible. It's like a Babe Ruth glove. That's fucking cool. That'd be like, I'm trying to think of a comparative for another sport. I guess it'd be like, okay, here's an example. I'm looking at you. If there was, I'll use Kerry Wood as an instance because I don't host a podcast with him. Kerry Wood, of all the memorabilia, the home run he hit in like Game 7, even though the Cubs lost in 0-3 at LCS.
Yeah, getting that bat.
The bat. It's like, yeah, dude, the bat he hit the home run with, or obviously yours off Bumgarner. Because it's like, how many balls do you have? How many fucking gloves and hats and all this shit? Like, the secondary memorabilia thing. So, like, a glove from an infielder's glove from Babe Ruth, or like an 11-inch left-handed glove from Babe Ruth. Pretty fucking cool.
A glove is really cool because it's probably the most, like, you get to see the most personality from a guy's equipment, maybe a bat too. And that's what I like about bats. So from a lot of guys that I played with and against, I would ask them for bats because you get to see like the weight of the bat that they like to use, the actual model, like where they put pine tar, or what their grip looks like. Do they have like the really thick knob or thin knob, or the barrel size? So that's cool. You get to learn like a lot about a guy from his glove or from his bat. When you're talking about other sports, like if you're talking basketball, there's really only one thing, and it's like a guy's shoes, which is, I mean, I don't think they wear jocks in basketball. Football, I guess you get more, some more options there. Like if a wide receiver or whatever wears gloves, or the helmet is pretty sick. I don't know if you really want a guy's mouth guard. So
no.
It gets a little weird.
The old play wristband. Like an obsolete one. I don't want one now where people are going to come knocking on my door, and be like
current plays.
Not like when Kevin Kiermaier took the fucking, what was it, like the pitch call?
Took the took the like the scouting sheet from the catcher that fell out like around home plate. Yeah,
I want like the big laminated play sheet from Andy Reid, like the one that's been stuffed on the front of his pants and smells like fucking cabbage and Skyline chili.
I would like to see, and just having a little, very, very little bit of experience as like an offensive coordinator. Like my buddy Rick is the OC, and we have our laminated play sheets and different names for sections of plays, running plays, passing plays, this and that. They're all color coordinated. I'd like to see, an NFL like play sheet, and see, the intricacies of it and how detailed like the play calling is. So I think that would be sick to get a couple of those, like to have in the office. I would like that. That's a good call.
Yeah, they use like 5.5 font, instead of 6 font. They use the margins, it's all color coded. As somebody who spent a lot of time in Microsoft Excel in my prior career, like I know the amount of manual detail that goes into those sheets, which only adds to the allure. I had another thing on the grab bag. We don't need to spend a lot of time on it. I do just want to say I'm on a spicy margarita binge right now.
I saw. Yeah. Good for you, because it's one of my favorites.
All right.
Everybody loves margaritas, but when you add a little bit of a kick to it, throw a couple of jalapenos in there. Mm-hmm. There is a mix that's done by a company. I believe it's called Texas Republic or Texan Republic, and they do. It's all really high quality ingredients. It's not the bullshit you see at most liquor stores. But they do like a spicy version. They've got a prickly pear one. It's amazing. You throw a little tequila on ice, you throw some of that in there, and it's just like that little kick, right? Like in the back of your mouth, or it just hits your taste buds just right. But I've had some that are almost too spicy, and they're tough to drink. Yeah,
it's a delicate balance for anybody with gastrointestinal issues such as myself. Now, I shouldn't even say I have gastrointestinal issues. I have not been diagnosed. I don't see doctors. But I just know I chew on Tums probably more than I should. I mean, every time I feel like
you're a big Tums guy. Yep. Hey, we got to stop. We're walking through wherever the fuck we were.
L.A., Philadelphia,
Philly,
Austin, you name it.
Got to hit the CVS for Tums.
Well, better to be in a good mood with calcium in my stomach. Hey, you know what? Enough talking about Tums. Let's talk about Roman. 42%, almost half of men experience moderate to extensive hair loss in their lifetime. You were talking to 2 of the 42% right now. Yeah, thank you. You look great. There are options available to help stop balding in its tracks. The sooner a person starts treatment for hair loss, the easier it is to keep the hair they have. Roman offers both prescription medication and over-the-counter treatments. Also offers specially formulated shampoos and conditioners. Here's a bunch of statistics that'll support this. Do you guys want me to read this off? You know it. It's going to fucking work. Here's the reality about using Roman. It says personal endorsement. I don't know how personal it gets, more personal it can get. A lot of you guys know Roman because you put it on your dick and it works and you have better sex with it. And you trust Roman in the most intimate place in your life, and it delivers time and again. And I'm not doing an ad read for that. I'm saying if Roman can work wonders on your shaft, imagine what it can do on your scalp. That just came up. That they did not write that in here too. So if someone from Roman has a problem with comparing shafts and scalps, this is purely off the top of my head. I'm just telling you to get started. It's simple. Complete a free online visit. Treatment starts at $20 per month on a quarterly plan. It works for your boners. Use this link to get 20% off your first order. Go to ro.co/starting. That's ro.co/starting. ro.co/starting for 20% off. Roman, for all your needs, all your masculine needs. We have a lot of baseball news. I want to thank everybody who's tuned in to today's show. I'm feeling good and loose. We have a great interview with Shane Greene later today coming for you guys. A lot of news. You want to get into it?
I'm ready. And you're right. It's always good to talk to Shane. Good dude.
Yeah, he's a
good
friend
dude.
of the program.
Was fun to stream with. Yeah, he's a good guy.
Not a friend of the program. I'm just kidding. Maybe a friend of the program. Yadier Molina retires from the St. Louis Cardinals. Officially, that news was there. This is kind of a combo thing because some people are saying now the Cardinals are in a big hunt for a catcher. Obviously, Wilson Contreras is a name who pops to the top of the list. He rejected a qualifying offer from the Chicago Cubs. He's a free agent. Yadi, congratulations. Tremendous career. Hall of Famer.
Yeah. It's really amazing. And one of the stats, the records that they set or continue to make even more and more unreachable is the number of starts that him and Wainwright had together, which is just very, very crazy. Probably one of those records that will never be broken. It was always a pleasure to compete against him and just kind of watch him do his thing. It just looked like he was always a step or two ahead of the guy that was in the box, and what he did for pitchers throughout his entire career, and his timely hitting and knowledge of the game. Truly incredible. There's not many guys like him around. So congratulations to an awesome career. What was it? 17, 18 years or something like that. And even more crazy to be able to do that as a catcher for that long of a period of time. I don't know how many times you'll see that again.
Yeah, especially because there's only a short period there where he played a little bit of first base, and he only had the benefit of the universal DH for his last season, which was predominantly occupied by Albert Pujols throughout the year. So just gives credit to longevity, and you'll never see that type of longevity again just based on the way the game's changed, the rules. Like, this is the last old school 2 decades, every single day behind the plate. Not a knee saver guy? Can I remember? Is he a knee saver?
No, not that I can remember. I don't think I've ever seen him with them on. And there's not really many guys that use those at the big league level.
Yeah, but those were great when they came out, I tell you.
Yeah, oh yeah. I think maybe it's like a sense of pride. Like, no, I'm not using those.
I think if you polled, I don't have the data in front of me. I don't even know if this data exists or how it would. But if I got a list of every player that has 1,000 hits over the last, let's say, 35 years, so in my lifetime. So 1,000 hits or more over the last 35 years, I would be willing to bet that Yadier Molina has the highest or second highest percentage of those hits that are singles to the opposite field. When I think of Yadier Molina, I think just like fucking solid ground ball in between the first baseman and the second baseman. I think of a Texas leaguer that isn't really a bloop single. I mean, he got enough to get it out there, like just complete back control, maybe not really a true threat, but just the way his game evolved from being defensive-minded into being a guy who can handle the barrel. I fucking hate how much I have to respect this guy. I'm glad he's out of my life. Just say that.
Yeah, for good reason, though. He tortured you as a fan of the Cubs for a while, and that's okay. I think he would understand and respect that. But that's a great point you make. Playing against him many, many times. He's not trying to do more than he needs to. He's trying to prolong the inning, get the next guy up, and pass the baton. So very, very interesting, scenario you brought up there. You might be right about that. We can look it up. Not now, but later.
No, I'm not going to look it up. I will say 2 of his teammates, not just this past season, but they're also on the list for headlines here. This is Arenado, 10 straight gold gloves, 6 straight platinum glove. I don't want, whatever. Now he's at the
Just
point.
pencil him in.
Yeah, as long
Just
as
pencil
he's
him
playing,
in
he's gonna
until
win it.
until he retires.
But more relevant to the St. Louis Cardinals, a former Cardinal, I thought this was cool. John Jay just got announced as the Marlins' first base coach. We've talked about John Jay before.
That's my guy.
Yeah, he was a former Cub for a little bit, just a
he's
legend.
coming on our show too. Yeah, I talked. So the day it was announced, I talked to him and just congratulated him. Love him and his family. He's actually in the process of finishing his degree because he wasn't sure like if he's gonna maybe coach at college or in high school or what he wants to do, but he knew for sure that he wanted to get his degree out of the way and have that, as an option. So, he'd text me like pictures of when he's in class and he's, going over, different exams or preparing for exams. So, when I saw that Skip was hired as a manager in Miami, I knew that it was a possibility that, John Jay would get the call, and sure enough, he did. He's going to get to, stay at home and be close to his family. Obviously, they'll be gone for a significant, portion of the year. But just, it's a great fit for him, and he brings so much from a leadership role. And obviously, he's a bilingual guy, so he's going to be able to, contribute so much, not only from, an experience standpoint, but being able to communicate. I mean, there's a large, percentage of the guys they have are Latin American players. So, a huge pickup by the Marlins and well-deserved by John Jay.
Yeah, I like that. Jay and Schumacher were teammates with the Cardinals. I'll throw Rafael Furcal. He was on that 2012 Cardinals team. When Rafael Furcal joined the team? Or one of those guys. It'd be great to see if like every guy on the staff had played together on the same team at some point.
Yeah, and he did play for Miami briefly as well.
He was so sweet.
He was.
Headline-wise, Evan Longoria, this last one, Evan Longoria, guy's got an absolute crank. He announces 2023 will be his last season. He says he'd play for the Rays, he'd play for the Giants or the Diamondbacks. A lot of people see that like, oh, sentimental, he'd go back to Tampa or he'd stay with this. To me, I see this, I'm like, this is a guy who just loves golf. Just pick 3 great golf destinations, places he's comfortable with. I could be wrong about it, but that's pretty sweet when you're at this point in your career. You can say, I'm done. This is going to be my last season. Here are the 3 teams I'd play for. That's a lot of power. Good for Evan Longoria. This is a guy who's been in the league, I guess, 16 years maybe. Good for him.
He's played for a long time. Yeah, and I guess somewhat surprised that he's continued to play as long as he has, but he's still able to be productive. And if your body feels good and you can produce and somebody's going to pay you, why wouldn't you still play? So, him saying he's going to play one more year and this will be it. Another guy who's had an awesome career, who's very well respected around baseball. And the longer guys like that can play, the better it is for the game.
I mean, he was a Rookie of the Year. We got award season coming up. I think there's Rookie of the Years coming out. We record this Monday afternoon, so we'll have Rookie of the Year awards tonight. I think in the AL it's pretty easily Julio, even though Adley was very good this season. Do you see anything like, right? It's got to be Julio in the American League.
Yeah, I don't see it going any other way. I mean, Adley had a really nice year. I think he had the 4th or 5th highest WAR as a catcher, like as a rookie in Major League history. So had a really nice season, but what Julio did, hard to see anybody surpassing him for Rookie of the Year this season. Very well deserving from him. I think it's a little bit more interesting and a little bit closer on the National League side. I think that Michael Harris ends up winning National League Rookie of the Year, and mainly because obviously he had a great rookie season, but with Spencer Strider kind of missing time down the stretch, probably sealed it for Michael Harris. I don't know if you would agree or disagree with that.
No, I think that it – okay, so it could have sealed it, but the other thing is his numbers and his ratios are historically elite. Where like Michael Harris was so good and changed the dynamic of the team, but Spencer Strider has numbers that will go down in history or do go down in history. And I think there's always that pull from voters where they could say, it's very hard to vote against history when you're one of these guys that, I don't call them dorks. You know my relationship with these formal baseball writers. I like them. They serve a purpose, but anytime those guys get a chance to sit down and be like, it's history, that will always take priority with them.
Well, and look, if Michael Harris started the season with the Braves from opening day, I mean, he would have had 600-something plate appearances. He probably would have had 25 homers and maybe 25, 30 stolen bases. Which is just amazing, hitting right around 300. But I mean, Strider's stats were incredible also, and both of them being on the same team, again, just you can't stress enough with how impressive it is with what the Braves have continued to be able to do year after year. We know there's several teams like that, Houston being one, St. Louis, the Dodgers. They just generate talent after talent. Potential manager of the year also, and Brian Snitker, overcoming a 10.5 game deficit late in the season to win the NL East. Truly incredible. Can't overstate enough how good the Braves are from top to bottom. Just Michael Harris, Spencer Strider, just dude after dude. Comes up and delivers.
We were on the ground floor of Michael Harris with the Dansby Swanson interview because they had been playing well for like a 2-week stretch where they had really started to turn around, and we had asked Dansby, like, what's the biggest thing? Is it pitching, confidence? I'm expecting some soft answer. He's just straight up, no, Michael Harris. Oh,
yeah, that was unexpected.
Rookie, center fielder? Oh,
mm-hmm.
I had no idea.
Yeah, but that was, what was that, in June?
Yeah.
When we had that conversation with him?
Yeah, like late June.
Yeah.
I think he was up for like 3 or 4 weeks when he said that. Other quick thing about this Rookie of the Year award that is worth pointing out that I haven't heard people talk about, there's 3 finalists for each group, I think. Brendan Donovan is listed as one of the finalists for the National League Rookie of the Year. And I would imagine a lot of people just don't know him. I know people listening to this do, but just the general perception of the St. Louis Cardinals, this is a 25-year-old rookie, I think like a third-rounder out of South Alabama, hit 300 at like every single league level in the minors, gets a chance, plays 120-something games with the Cardinals this year. And this is a year where the Cardinals are bringing up other guys, the Lars Nootbaar and the Gorman kid and the Liebetor. They've got good young players. Tyler O'Neill was like a dark horse MVP candidate at the start of the year. And like here we are at the end of the year, and it's just some fucking guy I'd never even heard of, looks like Cam Smith's degenerate cousin. And here he is in the same fucking conversation with Michael Harris and Spencer Strider for National League Rookie of the Year. And it's just shit like that where this is what allows the Cardinals and other organizations that can develop from within and just be rock solid year after year. This dude's going to make $750,000 next year. And the year after that. Ugh. Shout out Brendan Donovan. I hate you.
Yeah. Had a really nice season. And again, it's no surprise that these Rookie of the Year candidates typically come from similar teams every single year. And we had a conversation on one of our last shows about in this offseason, like GMs and owners, and when they sit down in their meetings, what the focus should be. And one of those things, one of the questions they need to be asking around the room is, how do we compete with these guys, these 4 or 5 teams who just do it better than we do and most other teams? How do we get on their level? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it's imitation is like the most, what's the fucking
purest
quote?
Form of flattery.
Yeah. So try and figure it out, because they apparently have found a blueprint for success, and it's not short-lived. It's continued success year after year. So if I'm running a team, I'm looking at what the best teams out there are doing, and I'm trying to imitate that to the best of our ability.
And I have a lot on the Houston Astros now. People listening to this are probably thinking, why are we not getting into the Houston Astros? I'm trying to get through more stuff first. I do want to spend some time on what's going on there because it's a crazy situation. You talk about copying people and how they're able to lose guys, plug them right in. Quick note here, just award season, because we'll come back. Wednesday and Thursday are Cy Young MVP votes. Monday, Tuesday, Monday's rookie. Tomorrow's manager of the year, the day this drops. Manager of the year goes out tonight. I just think Brandon Hyde should win it. It was like a 30-game improvement from last season to this season.
I think 31 games.
There's no reason not to give it to anybody other than Brandon Hyde. And then the NL, this is interesting. Buck Showalter could win it because of the turnaround with the Mets and just how much better they were, and he was the guy to do it. But at the same time, it's like Brian Snitker. Yeah. So that'll be interesting.
With what happened down the stretch for the Mets, I don't think you give it to Showalter.
You can't. I don't think you can give it to Buck Showalter.
No.
But if he does win that's pain.
He's a great manager. I mean, if we're just being honest, like if they win the division, then yeah, give it to him.
But it's like pain to Mets fans if he does. I feel like Mets fans are going to be fucking throwing that. Like, I feel like Mets fans would be riding, a step below riding. They'd be very unhappy to find out that their manager won Manager of the Year.
Is that an award that fans care about? Like if your manager wins Manager of the Year?
No, unless I'm arguing about why my manager is good. So, like, if Joe Madden won Manager of the Year, I think in 15 or something, I was not walking around being like, oh, look at us. But if a White Sox fan was like, Joe Madden sucks, I'd be like, he just won Manager of the Year, dipshit. See how that works?
Yeah, I get it.
It's like a good notch on the belt, but in itself, if you're making a big deal out of that, your team probably sucks.
Yeah, you're digging a little too deep for ammunition at that point.
Let's get into some team stuff. But first, Game Time. Game Time is a ticketing app that makes it easier than ever to score last-minute deals to tickets to sports, concerts, and shows, and they guarantee the lowest price. I am using Game Time to try and go to a wrestling event in Chicago. I want to go see AEW Dynamite. It's on, I think it's November. It's a Wednesday before Thanksgiving. I don't know why. It's just supposed to be crazy. People say everything. I'm like, well, might as well check out Game Time. I want to go see some dudes jump off tables, bash their heads in. I think that's pretty simple. The child in me. Like, if I have to sell you guys on why professional wrestling's entertaining, then
it is entertaining. I agree with you. I've only been to one wrestling event, and it was when I was in AA. We were playing Erie, and they had some circuit that was in town for a night or so, and it was after a game. We got to go check it out, and people hitting each other with those metal folding chairs and jumping off the turnbuckles, and it was electric. It's a great show. It absolutely is a great show. I'm glad I got to see one of them. There's midget wrestling here nearby in a nearby city. I think they do it in Hutto or Buda quite a bit. I've never been to that, but people love midget wrestling. It's a big deal, I guess.
I got a promo code if you want to go see midget wrestling, and it's on Game Time, like many other concerts and shows. Whether it's I'm
not against it.
Night of fun for the family. Load the car up, get some pizza, take the kids. Team bonding experience for the football team.
I might have to take you up on that. Yeah, we might have to go. I'll talk to the kids.
Download the Game Time app. Go to the account tab to create a login. Redeem code STARTING9 for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Download Game Time. Last-minute tickets. Lowest price guaranteed. That would be a great trip for the family. Okay. I have a lot of – I'm sorry. This is like – you saw the notes. The pre-show stuff. There's a lot to get into. I'm going to go as quickly as I can. But the news is just flying around right now, and this is a time where free agency, the table's set. And so what we're going to see for the next couple of weeks, we've got the winter meetings coming up in early December, and I know a lot of teams and a lot of players want to have decisions done before the holidays. Other guys are, circumstances dictates that. But basically my point is the next couple of weeks should be very hot. Now, unlike other leagues, NFL, NBA, like free agency in baseball happens over an extended period of time where like those leagues have windows, and when those windows open, a lot of deals are already kind of put together. So there's just the inherent drama. It's a beautiful time of the year. And with that, I'll start with the Cubs. Very familiar for both of us. And interesting, they're most closely linked to Carlos Correa of the four big shortstops because he doesn't have a qualifying offer attached to him, which means there isn't draft pick compensation. Get to that later. And there's also some talks of Kevin Kiermaier or Cody Bellinger. I would say out of those three, obviously Carlos Correa stands alone. Let's just do the center fielders. Between Kiermaier and Bellinger, where Kiermaier, I think you kind of know what you're getting, or Bellinger, not just for the Cubs specifically, but these two players, these are like the next center fielders below Nimmo. You'd have to trade for Bellinger. Kiermaier has a $13 million option that the Rays turned down because he just had hip surgery. And so I think there's like a $2 million buyout. So he's looking for a rebound. Bellinger's looking for a rebound.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably prefer Kiermaier. He's going to play you better defense. I mean, I guess they had like a similar offensive year. Kiermaier his year might have been a little bit better. The upside is higher for Bellinger, but I mean, right now he's not the same guy that he was, several years ago. So I think you have to view Cody Bellinger a little bit differently than we have in the past. And if you're looking for a guy just to play lights out center field, between the two, I think that's pretty obvious that it's Kevin Kiermaier.
But it's clear, though, they said at the GM meetings, or Jed Hoyer came out, and the team was like, we're definitely going to be going outside the organization to find some center field production. There were two guys that had split it mostly in 2022 between Morel later in the season and Ortega earlier in the season. But as a Cubs fan, we'll get more into the league nationally, but just as a Cubs fan, it's exciting when you get to this point of the season. They're actually buyers. They're actually buyers for these positions. I don't know how much Matt Mervis at first base, where they say, like, this guy's going to break camp. He's a first baseman in the future. I don't want to spend a ton of time on this guy. He's basically like a Charlie Blackmon story. He was a college pitcher at Duke, and then his junior year had played Northwoods League and was pretty good, and they gave him an opportunity to play first base. I think he played in 40 games, and then COVID came. No draft, 5 rounds of the draft. He only played 10 games. The Cubs, this was their biggest target from the undrafted free agent pool. He's killed it. He killed the Arizona Fall League, 6 homers and 68 plate appearances, a 1,000 OPS. Scouts alike, everybody's at the point where this guy can go break camp in spring training and play first base. 24-year-old prospect, very interesting prospect, Matt Mervis. I just want to give him some credit, some love as we talk about the Cubs, because I think what they can do with their roster is heavily dependent on, can this guy come up? Can some of these other younger players? And that's a theme you'll see with the rest of these teams. But Matt Mervis. Had to say it. Matt
Mervis. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
You won't know until he gets up there and you see what he can do. You got to give him at bats. I mean, might be great, might not.
See, this is a good balance I like in our show, because I sit here and get excited because I'm like, oh, everyone said this, and you can think this and project that. And I'm sure from your perspective, yeah, dude.
Well, it's easy to get really excited about prospects, but if you get overly excited, then you might get let down, and that's something you see a lot with the tremendous amount of hype from guys, but like I said, you just won't completely know until you get the guys up there. You give them an extended look and see what they're capable of. I love that they perform very well in the minor leagues and in the Arizona Fall League, but you won't know for sure until you're getting ABs on a consistent basis at the big league level, facing the big boys and going through adversity and seeing how they handle that physically and mentally. But, I hope he's good.
There's 2 big examples of where, right now we're, having that depth of young guys that are interchangeable or can take plate appearances in the next season, really help with payroll flexibility. It's with the Dodgers and the Phillies. So the Dodgers declined an option on Justin Turner. It was a $16 million option. He's now a free agent. Now, this is interesting because Justin Turner, while 38 and did not have, as good of a year as he has had, is by far the best third baseman available. the guys after him, Brandon Drury, Chase Peterson, Diaz from the Astros, who took the pitch in the World Series off his arm. Like the third base market's very weak. The Dodgers, even so, are like, fine, whatever. We're not going to pick up this option with Justin Turner, and they're saying they're comfortable. Can Gavin Lux slide over there, play a little bit of shortstop? Apparently, they've got some young prospect that was underwhelming this year, but they think he could play third base. Just interesting stuff from the Dodgers because they have all this payroll flexibility. And even so, Justin Turner, no, they're ready to move on. And I think that says, like, the money's going to get moved around, and this is where Aaron Judge comes in. There's some people that are saying Aaron Judge, Mookie Betts, Dodgers, sharing right field, center field, DH together.
Well, if you look at Turner's, season last year and the season this year, there's a ton of similarities there. I mean, he had, I'd say he had about 100 less plate appearances, I believe. Hit for about the same average. RBIs were right around the same. The homers were cut in half. I mean, he had 14 more doubles this year than he did last year, and he was an all-star last year. So, the production, didn't slow down much. Very, very similar stat line. So, Justin Turner is very capable of still producing at a fairly high level, and I think that maybe that $16 million was a little high for the Dodgers to swallow, but he's still going to get paid a decent amount of money, and you're going to get adequate production out of him. And I agree with you. I think he is probably the best third baseman free agent that is available. He's going to get a lot of interest. There's no question about that.
Yeah, I think if a team that just jumps out right away, and maybe I'm stupid for this, but if Evan Longoria goes back to the Rays, like the Giants to me jump up right away, because if I'm Turner, he just strikes me as a West Coast guy. He's established there. He's like later in his career. I can't see him making too many wholesale changes, so like a good fit on the West Coast. But in any case, he'll have an easy time finding a job. I don't know if Jean Segura will have as easy of a time. I would imagine he would. The Phillies turned down a $17 million option. We talked about that last week. This is interesting, though, because now it's come out to say Bryson Stott, again, this goes back to like having young guys that are good enough to take on 550 plate appearances, 600 plate appearances a year that aren't ingrained in a position. He's making $750,000. It's easy. The Phillies are like, yeah, we can move Bryson Stott over to second base because one of these four shortstops is available. Xander Bogaerts has ties to Dave Dombrowski going back to the Red Sox. And so for the Phillies, the question was like, do we pick up Segura and keep the middle infield the same? They decline it. Now they've got $17 million to play with. They can move Stott over to second base, and people are saying they're going to make a run for Xander. They got like $40 million in the budget to stay around where they were this year. That would just be a crazy turn for the Phillies.
Well, when it comes to Segura, I love Gene. He's a gamer. He's going to post every single day. I think since 2013. He hasn't really missed any time. He's getting around 600 plus, plate appearances every single season this year. He had some injury issue. He had around just below 400 plate appearances, I believe. He hit 290 last year. He hit around 280 this year. This guy can still play. But if you're the Phillies and you see, one of your young guys, taking over, at Gene's position, and you want more at bats to go to different guys, you can't really bring Gene back because if he's on your squad, he's probably going to be getting 600 plate appearances, and that's a guy that you can't platoon. If Gene Segura is in your lineup, he's a guy that needs to play every single day because in order for him to be at his best, that's what he needs, which is both not only good for Gene as a player and his ability to stay consistent, but dude, when you have a guy like that, you can pencil in every single day. That's pretty damn easy for a manager to know exactly what you're going to get. So again, I think teams, I don't necessarily know how many are going to line up to bring him in, but there's going to be plenty that want him, playing infield for their ball club, and as they should. We talked to a lot of guys, and he's got Girardi said it. He's got some of the best bat-to-ball skills in the game, and if you can kind of pair him up with some big power guys in the middle of your lineup, and having him as one of the table setters, he brings a tremendous amount of value to your team.
Yeah, he's the type of guy to me that like you may not pay attention to in the offseason, and then it's early June and his team's in town and you're like, oh, Gene Segura's playing for them. He's hitting six. He's having a nice year for them. Like just a very sneaky under the radar, but as you said, like just very consistent in his own unique productive way. But like going back, like that just opens the door for the Phillies to spend money and just the way the way the competition's stacking up in the NL East. If the Phillies do make a move for Xander Bogaerts, is nothing short of outstanding. I don't want to get in front of this. I love it.
Well, I see from what I've seen lately, it seems like they're going to be after Trey Turner pretty hard. But then again, if they land on Swanson or Bogarts or Trey Turner or Correa, it's a pretty good upgrade with any of those guys. And it's also going to depend on which one of those guys wants to play in Philly or which one wants to play, fill in the blank. But there's a lot of teams that could use the services of that, crop of guys. And if I was whatever team I'm on, I'd be more than happy to have any one of them, because you're going to get production, you're going to get leadership, you're going to get consistency, all at one of the most important positions on the field.
These shortstops, like you walk into a bar and you're with a couple of buddies, and there's a group of girls and they're just all smoking, like all in their own right. Maybe one's taller, maybe one's short, like whatever you like. We got 4 shortstops at this bar right now, and they are all pretty girls, and hopefully you spit some game. That was lame.
No, but it's a good analogy. I agree with you there. Different attributes, all attractive.
Can we go down to your home state? I want to go to Texas for a second here.
Yeah, we talking Astros or Rangers?
Let's do Rangers because the Astros, I've got some meat on. I want to save that. The Rangers
let's
quickly.
Go Rangers.
Yeah, the pitching staff, it looks like they're going to spend a lot of money. Looks like they're aggressive as fuck. Like, look, they are the horniest. If we're at a bar right now, the Rangers are the horniest guy in the bar. They want a number 1 pitcher. Apparently that's going to be Jacob deGrom or Carlos Rodon. They're willing to make, big offers to both, or they're very interested in making big offers to both, I should say. There's rumors about Aaron Judge. The Aaron Judge contract isn't outside of their spending. Now, historically, payroll, I think they have like $40 to $45 million to spend based on where they've been historically, but it seems like they're willing to spend a lot more than that. And then if they don't get anybody if they don't sign anybody, now there's rumors like, okay, they're looking at Shane Bieber, Pablo Lopez, Brandon Woodruff. I've heard Corbin Burns. Getting a guy from the Brewers would be a lot. I think you'd have to pick up Yelich's salary. But my point is, I think the Rangers are going to continue where like last year at this point, we're like, holy fuck, the Rangers did this, and this. They signed John Gray, Marcus Semien, and Corey Seager. If it's a couple weeks from now and we find ourselves in that same position, I wouldn't be surprised. They're linked to everybody.
Yeah, well, I mean, they don't have an ace. And I mean, they had let's say they had a number 2. With Martin Perez, he had a really nice year. I mean, John Gray is a good starter, but I don't think anybody's considering him. I mean, he's a good number 3. They need, and especially to compete in any division at the highest level. If you're trying to win the division, compete with the Astros, the Mariners, you need a couple horses at the top. Easier to say than it is to do. You have to spend significant money to get those types of guys, and they also have to want to come play for you. The Texas Rangers is a very attractive team to play for. A great division for cities. You're visiting great places. Fairly easy travel, I guess, outside of Seattle. But you get to go to Seattle. Seattle's a great division. You get to go to Anaheim, Houston, right down the road.
Wine country.
Great places to live. Great places to live. You can live in Fort Worth. You can live in Dallas. And great areas in between. Great uniforms. Brand new ballpark. So right next to the Dallas Cowboys. Maybe get to hang out, with Jerry Jones and shit like that. So it's an attractive place. but you need more arms. I mean, it just starts there. Maybe I'm biased because I was a starting pitcher, but you can't win consistently against teams like that have those kind of arms, and they're very highly coveted. So, yeah, I mean, they need some pieces elsewhere, but for me, it starts with the starting rotation.
Yeah, and the starting rotation is a lot of guys that are above average. Dane Dunning's consistent. Jonathan Gray got, paid pretty well, and, he's better than what he pitched at. Martin Perez is an interesting case because they made a qualifying offer to him. It's like $19.6 million this year. He had a career year. He probably wants to get paid, but
he wants a multi-year deal.
Yeah,
he wants guaranteed multiple years. And yes, they made him the qualifying offer, which, what'd you say it was, 19 and a half? Okay, so he might not get that AAV, but he's probably going to get a 3-4 in that range of a contract. I mean, he's 31 years old. I could see him getting paid until his 35, maybe 36 season, depending on what his medical history looks like. I'm not super sure what his history is there from a health standpoint, but he's a nice lefty. There's not many lefties like that just walking around that can throw you 200 plus innings and make every start. He's got a great feel for pitching, and if you surround him with one or two nice arms, I mean he's capable of putting up seasons like that. So. We'll see, but yeah, I mean that it's always a risk when you turn down, almost $20 million, but following a year like he had, he's going to make more than that. I don't know if it's going to be that same sort of AAV over 3 or 4 or 5 year period, but he's going to make more money than that.
Yeah, and I would imagine he probably has a preference to stay in Texas too. If you have that career year and you have that momentum with the club. Like, is there a sense of you don't want to change scenery? I know we always say change of scenery for good, like a guy like Bellinger, he could use a change of scenery. But we never say we don't want to change this guy's scenery. Is that a case with Martin Perez?
I couldn't tell you. I mean, that wasn't –
Or do you hear that? Is that something that you guys talk about and say, fuck it, man, I don't want to leave Boston. I dominate in Boston.
There's a level of comfort there. I mean, if you're accustomed to pitching in a certain place and you love the mound and you love the atmosphere, you like where you live, your family's happy there. Sometimes it can be a situation where guys don't want to go elsewhere, or like your wife or girlfriend saying, "Oh man, if they offer us a contract here, let's heavily consider it because we love playing here." But most guys are okay and open to going elsewhere. Especially if the money's right, if the family situation is one that you're going to be comfortable in. Some people prefer Arizona to Florida spring training and vice versa. So those are all things that are considered. Like I know personally, I mean, where I was at in Florida for spring training with the Orioles was Sarasota. Absolutely loved it. Siesta Keys, maybe the best beach in the country. And then I was in Clearwater. I lived in Bel Air Beach with the Phillies, which was another amazing place. So I was spoiled with the places I was in. The travel sucks for Florida spring training, which can be a deterrent for some players. Arizona, it's like the furthest you go is Surprise, which really isn't all that far. So teams are fairly, for the most part, centrally located, like in the Scottsdale, Tempe, Peoria area. So these are all things that people consider. And, when your family is, they're going to be comfortable in a certain place, more comfortable than another place, you value those offers higher than some other offers. So, no, but to answer your question, I don't think a change of scenery is a big deal for really anybody.
I know it's a big deal for a lot of our listeners this time of year, and that's their beard care. It's winter. It's cold. This time a lot of guys take pride in the facial hair. Let it go. Look at me. Look at the stash. Look at Jake. And that's why I want to talk about Beard Guys. Beard Guys offers a comprehensive collection of beard care products for all types of facial hair and skin types. Cleanse, enhance, moisturize, and style. They deliver high-quality, badass beard care with irresistible beard scents and styles. The scent is no joke. I know I don't have the thickest facial hair, 3 shots for a quarter, but I've been using the serum and the oil because it makes the stuff pop. Like I'm telling you, the growth is there. The stash is full. And when you use these oils, the scent, the amount of compliments. I was at a wedding on Friday. I was hugging people. And every person was like, God, what is that? And I was like, that's the oil I've rubbed into my facial hair. It's from Beard Guys. It's an oil. It softens the hair. It hydrates the skin. It reduces itch. You want to be itching, scratching. You want to grow it out. You want to be going into Thanksgiving family. You say, hey, wow, the beard looks great. And you don't want to be scratching that thing. You want to be getting your fucking beard fibers in the Aunt Nancy sweet potato mash. You savage. Use the beard oil. Jojoba oils too. Beard wash.
Jojoba.
Yeah, that's good, right? You
Yep.
hunted jojoba in the Amazon?
No, I just know that it's really good for your facial hair. It makes things soft. It smells good. And I believe that's one of the ingredients that kind of gives it like that shiny look, which everybody likes.
Yeah, the gloss, like looking like a car coming out of West Coast Customs exhibit, just pimped your ride, like that real clean finish to your beard. Nourish your beard with Beard Guys. Daily routine here, guys. That's all I'm saying. Facial hair, daily routine. Jake uses it. I use it. Beard Guys. Craft your beard care routine at beardguys.com. That's beardguys.com. Get on the Beard Guys team. If you see me out, you're like, hey, Carl, and you're thinking of something witty to say to get my attention, tell me you use Beard Guys. Show me that beard. Let me come up to me and let me smell your facial hair and your skin. Please. Yeah, Jake's just nodding in approval. If you're watching this on YouTube, thanks for subscribing. We have an interview coming up here in a little bit with Shane Greene, all-star reliever. I have a couple other things on the notes before we get to him, player-wise, team-wise. This Astros story is fucking crazy to me. The amount of research I went into their front office and some of these guys will probably creep you out, but that's what I do. I'm very much into origin stories. And Jim Crane fires the GM like 2 or 3 days ago, James Click. The story goes he hired Click after they had to fire Lunau from the cheating scandal. Click comes in. Obviously, they win the World Series, continues to run the dominance. And this year, he wanted a raise and had allegedly asked for more money than he got a 1-year contract for $1 million. That was what they offered after the World Series. Said, we're going to give you another contract. You're so good. How much? $1 million for 1 year. Obviously, that's fucking crazy. I remember when Theo came over like 14 fucking years ago and was getting $5 million a year. Now, completely different jobs and all that shit. But so Click gets fired. He asks for more money. The Astros fire him. Within 24 hours of firing the GM, they give 3 years and $34.5 million to Montero. Like, that's how fucking long. Amazing.
Yeah.
Front office turmoil. Right after winning the World Series,
it just says,
GM.
Look, we don't. This is what we want you here for. But I think it just reaffirms that, like, we might value you, but Rafael Montero is obviously valued much higher. He's out there pitching huge situations for us and dominating. GMs are important. The presidents are important. The owners are important. But the manager's important. The majority of things that get done that have the ultimate value are from the players and through the players. So they go out and they take care of Rafael Montero. Just amazing story. I mean, he was with the Mets from 14 to 17, and I think he made 35 starts or something like that, and just had a 1.7 whip, wasn't very productive, went to Seattle, had like a 7 ERA, comes over to Houston, dials his shit in, has a remarkable season, and he's rewarded for that. So I do agree with you. I think that Click is worth, should have been taken care of a little bit more than a $1 million offer, but he turned it down, and they're not scared to go in a different direction. And Click will probably he'll be brought on board by somebody who values his services as a GM or maybe in another role. But that's what the Astros decided to do. And I guess that the relationship there between, the ownership group and Click wasn't great. So maybe it's the best move for both sides.
Yeah, I'm not an Astros fan. Don't live in Houston. Certainly don't work for the team. My understanding is that Click was not playing politics, and that there's something about the Astros where you got to, act a certain way and go to the events and shake hands and rub elbows. Or the report was something along the lines of, if this guy had a little bit more charisma or was more in tune with the social soft stuff, the subjective stuff, he would have gotten along with people, but it wasn't a priority. And some people are just like that. Some guys just show up, they're like, hey, I'm here, hired to do my job. This is the fucking job I'm doing. And on the same respect, that's life. Like, a lot of times, you're judged for stuff that doesn't fucking matter. So tough break for James Click. It sounds like he's leaving with his boys. Sounds like some of the guys that were in his front office team, assistant GMs and like strategy guys, are gone with him. The thing that sucks is it's fucking mid-November and teams the GM meeting just got done. He'll be a special advisor for you. He's got to linger. It does suck that you just built the World Series, or you were behind the World Series team fundamentally, and now you're out of a job. It'll be a cupcake job. It'll probably be an advisor in Miami playing, Doral National or some of those nice, teeing off at Seminole in the morning, but still.
Well, part of me says maybe stick it out one more year and have a shot to win back-to-back World Series with the Astros. Yeah, maybe you're not getting financially what you think you're worth, but I mean, to be a part of that team and have a shot to do it again, I mean, and pad your resume a little bit, and then get a multi-year deal, more money next season. But yeah, he wasn't having it. He said, no, I'll go elsewhere. Do you think that Click thought that they would just let him go? Or maybe he was like, hey, I'm going to turn this 1-year deal down, and they're going to come back to me and say, okay, well, now here's a 2 or 3 year deal for, let's say, $12 million.
Yeah, I don't think he thought that, like, if I make a counteroffer, I ask for more, that the end result is just not getting another contract. So it's not like he got fired or terminated from his contract. He asked for more, and they're like, oh, never mind. No more offer.
No. Yeah, we'll excuse you.
I'm sorry to laugh. I mean, this guy's lived a good life. He's not dead.
No, he's okay.
And the other thing, too, that's like, if he's on the spreadsheets, he's sitting there with him like, hey, I got Hector Neris. I'm saving you. He knows exactly how much money that he's saving that team and where his value lies. So to come back and be like, no, we don't have an extra $250, $300,000. Again, that's the Houston Astros, though. Like, get used to it. Now, this is what I want to talk, the 2 replacements, because they promoted 2 guys to joint, like, assistant general manager. One guy's 29 years old, went to Yale, played football and baseball. His name's Charles Cook. I, hate this guy. Was an intern 2014 or 15 with the Astros. Like, this is just, he's handsome and all that shit. Intern is a strategy, some, strategy operations thing. So he's in the mix somehow, 29 years old. So I think about what you're, 29, I was not capable of running a major league team. The other guy's 42 years old. His name's Bill Furcus. This might be the most interesting guy in any front office that I've researched. I should say it like that.
Bill Furcus.
Bill Furcus went to Madison, Wisconsin, graduated in 2002, then worked as an investment banker for 5 years. After working as an investment banker, he went to Cal Berkeley and got his MBA. When he left Cal Berkeley, he went and worked for a medical device company called Medtronic, where he became the global product manager for what's called peripheral drug eluting balloons, stents that go into your body to fucking but not into your core or into your like something that would go into your shoulder.
Something I don't know much about.
An implant
Okay,
that would go into your shoulder to help you rehabilitate or something. This guy's on like the cutting edge, but he has no medical background. So then the Astros hire him to be like their medical analyst. This guy's not a doctor at all. They just hired him from Medtronics because he was a smart business guy who ran a team of people that fucking managed this product. That was back in 2013. After that, he got promoted 2 years later. Then he got promoted 4 years later as the director of baseball strategy. He's now the assistant general manager, and he is said to be the top dog with the Astros. And within 24 hours of being the top dog, he made the extension. This is a guy with no playing experience. This is a guy who's only worked for one major league team. He worked in a medical analyst capacity, not even in the front office until a couple of years ago. And for whatever reason, the Astros value Bill Furcus as much as anybody in the front office right now, and it blows me away because I don't know what the Astros value. Like, how the fuck is this guy important? I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, they're smarter than us. They obviously see value there, and they know that the skill set that he has is conducive to kind of running, or could potentially be conducive to running, major league team. I don't know. There's skills that GMs have that are valuable, and I don't necessarily know what they are. And like you said, with his lack of baseball experience, there's something there though, because we know the intelligence of the Astros organization. They wouldn't be doing this unless he was able to bring something to the table that was going to enhance what the Astros are able to do, obviously. So, I mean, we'll see. I'm sure he's going to do a great job.
Yeah. Everybody succeeds there. It's probably something like, I think he knows what to listen to from the medical people, and he knows what to listen to from the strategy people. The smartest people know how to take advice. Okay, let's talk to Shane Greene.
Yeah, let's get Greene on here.
I have a couple more nuggets, news. If I haven't talked about your team, stick around till after the interview. I have a quick roundup here. But I don't want to get to that now. I want to talk to Shane Greene, who's like almost too cool. He's got that Zach Gallen, hey, buddy, get the heart rate going.
Yeah, he's early in his career. He probably had a difficult time kind of regulating his heart rate, as most young guys do. But yeah, it seems like now he's been through a lot. He's not really fazed by anything, and he's ready to come back and perform at the highest level again. So I'm looking forward to seeing him have an opportunity with hopefully a winning team, and kind of getting his career back on track.
Yeah, I didn't ever want to ask him this because it's awkward, but like, if you know the Shane Greene story, it's like, what happened? And he gets into it, a very candid explanation of where he's at in his career and his journey to get back to the big leagues. So let's get into it. Here's Shane Greene. But before we talk to Shane, Shady Rays sunglasses offer an industry-best combination of fit, style, and performance without the big brand price tag. It doesn't stop at the quality. Shady Rays offers the most insane protection program in all of eyewear. Every pair is backed by lost and broken replacements. If you lose or break your pair, even on day one, they'll send you a brand new pair, which means you can wear with confidence. Those will provide 10 meals to fight hunger in America with every order and have donated over 20 million meals to date. You can look good in your shades and feel good by making an impact. And if you don't love them, exchange for a new pair or return them free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop with Shady Rays. Their team always has your back. Exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their very best deal of the season. Go to shadyrays.com and use code STARTING for 50% off 2 or more pair of polarized sunglasses at shadyrays.com and use code STARTING for 50% off 2 or more. Stocking stuffers. Make the family happy. Dad's tough to shop for. Get him some Shady Rays. Your mother's feeling good. Get her some Shady Rays. Get her something to match the purse. ShadyRays.com, code STARTING for 50% off. Let's get to Shane Greene. We're in the interview portion of today's show. We are joined by all-star reliever Shane Greene. Fresh off a hurricane home inspection, insurance guys were in the house. Thanks for joining us, man. It sounds like some tough shit's going on. What's up?
I mean, to be honest with you, it was kind of crazy because the Hurricane Ian hit us, a month ago? And it destroyed a lot of stuff, but my house was perfectly fine. Like the way the wind was blowing must have been perfect, and we were sitting outside the whole time. It was like an afternoon shower, but this one that just hit, I don't remember the name, Nicole, I think. The wind was coming right at us, and because of the level of the water in my lake that I live on from the first one, it was total chaos, dude. My dock is it's over for my dock. My pontoon boat's got a hole in the pontoon. It's sinking right out back here. It's
Damn, dude.
there's a house like 5 houses down from me. I had a floating dock. It flipped the dock all the way over and was slamming the dock and the jet ski into the back of their pool deck. So it got a little crazy, even though it wasn't as strong. But hopefully, the insurance will take care of it all.
Yeah, hopefully they'll get you a nice check. So you're in Orlando.
Yeah,
Like how far
yeah.
are you inland or are you on the coast or?
No, I'm right in the middle of the state, basically. I'm right next to Disney World. I can see the
Oh,
fireworks from Disney World every night.
well, okay, so that's probably better than being on the coast. Now you've been in Florida for a while, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I've lived here my whole life.
Now, so you're kind of you're used to the hurricane seasons. Do you
Yeah.
see do you see that kind of, you know, maybe push people away from Florida that maybe haven't been there very long and then they experience the first hurricane season like, hey, we got to get the hell out of here. I don't know if we can deal with this uncertainty every year.
I think people are more scared of alligators that aren't from here than they are hurricanes. To be honest, everybody freaks out about the alligator thing. But growing up, obviously I grew up here, and I don't remember ever because we're so like in the middle of the state, even the bad ones, the category fours and fives, by the time it gets to Orlando, it's like a one or two, which is, obviously way better. It's always just super windy and rainy. But I will say that Ian was the first time in my life that I've seen like pretty crazy flooding in Orlando. Like the road that I live on and everything was underwater the next day. But as far as like the storm surge stuff that really messes everything up, like down in Fort Myers, uh, we don't obviously have to deal with that. But right now, my lake is super high from all the rain. And if we were to get another storm in the next couple of weeks, it would not be good for my neighborhood that's on this lake, that's for sure.
Do you have any personal experiences with close encounters with giant snakes, pythons, or gators? Because I played a lot of golf in Florida. I was in spring training there for a while. You hit a ball near the water. Every once in a while, you see a gator. Not a big fan of that. I know people with small dogs who have lost their dogs. So what's your relationship with
My
those
relationship
those
with a
types of
gator,
animals? Well, like
uh,
you're probably not very scared of them.
well, I don't really fuck. There's a couple things I don't fuck with. It's snakes and sharks are both on that list.
Yep, spiders is on
Alligators,
the list for me too.
yeah, alligators. I'm not like terrified of. But for the most part, man, we're big humans, and they're just as scared of us as we are of them. Now, the little dog thing, or like maybe like a baby or a young kid being by the shore, that's probably not great. But growing up on the lakes that I grew up on, like if you're wakeboarding or tubing or jet skiing or whatever, you're gonna see some gators today. Like you might be on a wakeboard and look over and see a gator's head go under, but we've never had any like super crazy encounters. But like I said, small dogs and stuff like that is probably an issue. And in mating season, I guess it gets a little bit more dicey, but um, I'm way more scared of sharks than I am alligators. But maybe it's because I'm from the lakes and not the oceans, you know what I mean? So I don't know.
I'm with you on sharks. I'm with you there, dude. No, it's
Yeah,
that's their
I don't do
environment.
no sharks.
It's
No, no.
uh, it's a giant animal with basically a chainsaw in its mouth. So I think Carl, you're not a big ocean guy, are you?
No, not a big ocean. Generally, just not a big body of water guy.
No
Period.
water at
No,
all?
milky here. Very milky. Very midwestern. Uh, I do like AC. I like being indoors. I'm just the shark stuff has piqued my interest. I know you guys say you're not fans, but you guys respect that animal, right?
Oh yeah, but
Okay.
I wouldn't
Okay.
even like. I respect it so much. I'm not even getting in like a cage and dropping me down.
Okay.
I don't want no part of that. That's their world, not mine.
Yeah, I
All
agree. It's
Not
more of
working
a
for
subspecies.
me.
it's a
One in
respect
particular.
thing. Totally a
Yeah,
respect thing. That's if they were on land, not as intimidating. But when they can swim 30 plus miles an hour and you can't see where they're coming from,
yeah. If you
like
see me in the ocean swimming, I've been overserved.
Ooh, interesting.
That's the only way I'm getting in that ocean.
And just a quick tip for listeners: if you are overserved, probably last place you want to be, ocean. Question for guys like you that are comfortable with animals. You talk about the rattlesnakes and shit. Guys like, say for example, me, Do you look down on guys like me that don't, like, say a guy walks in the big league clubhouse, guy like me, looks exactly like me, 86, good sync. Thank you. And he's just like, no, I don't fuck with snakes. I don't even know how to hold a gun. Like, is he a bitch?
Um, I don't know. I mean, I feel like for me, I don't fuck with snakes either, but I've held a gun. So am I a bitch? I don't know.
No, let
I
me
mean,
help you
I'm
guys
no
out
Bear
here.
Grylls, you know,
I think that
but
Carl, you just grew up around too much concrete, too
yeah,
many
that's all.
buildings,
You
not
just weren't
enough nature.
exposed.
You just weren't exposed, and that's not your fault.
That's it. Nah.
That's just a product of your environment. But we're gonna change all that. You know, we've talked about it. We'll get you, we'll put some guns in your hands. We'll get you around some snakes,
Yeah.
just so you have a little information and understanding of what to watch out for. You know,
On
yeah,
the flip side of that, my dad is like from the Everglades, and when I was playing with the Yankees, seeing him in New York City and all the concrete was like Crocodile Dundee. So like he was just as scared of the concrete as maybe you would be of an alligator, you
Were
know?
you nervous having him come up for the first trip? Did you see that coming, or were you
No.
surprised?
No. They were super excited. I was super excited, obviously. But he had never seen anything like that. I mean, shit, I had never seen anything like that. You know what I mean? Um, but my buddy took a picture of him standing on the sidewalk, just kind of looking up at the buildings. It's a pretty funny picture because the look on his face, he just reminds me of the Crocodile Dundee movies.
I love that shit.
Yeah,
What
it's
about
good.
all right, so a lot of the guys tuning in here know you from we spent some time, I mean, obviously from your career, but relative to starting nine, we spent some time watching playoff baseball together.
Hmm.
It was a treat to get to know you. The people that didn't tune into the stream are I would imagine are surprised with how laid back you are. Are you this laid back on the mound?
No, no. When you put your baseball uniform on, that's like putting on your superhero costume. Um, it's like an alter ego thing. As soon as you put the uniform on, you got to turn into the player that you picture yourself being in your dreams. You know what I mean? So I would say in between the lines, I'm probably not even close to the person that I am outside the lines.
Do you have a mound voice? Do you have like a voice on the you're like, oh shit?
I don't really talk much. If I'm talking when I'm like in the zone, normally I'm screaming fuck, and it's because something went not good. I don't really say too many
yeah.
words.
There's a mentality shift when
Yeah.
when you're preparing for a game. Um, it's probably the same with just about every sport. And maybe some guys' personality off the field mimics their on-field persona. Like I'm sure you play with some guys who, like one guy for instance, like Tommy Hunter. Like he very similar off the field and on the field. But the majority of guys that I played with, and you, I'm sure as well, totally different. Like chill, laid back, and then they get in between the lines. And Carl, like John Lackey, he was always he would always talk about how I didn't have the skill set. I wasn't good enough to not go to that like kind of dark place, that competitive place. And there's a lot to that. Whether he, I think he was very talented. He had great stuff, but it helped him kind of take his game to another level, like kind of being that angry type of guy on the field.
Yeah, there's different types of players. There's the player that plays super angry. There's the player that plays super chilled, relaxed. Everybody has like their own way of ticking uh, when it comes to being competitive. I feel like most of the time the super competitive players are the pitchers. It's harder to be laid back when you're in control of the game. If a pitcher has a bad day, the team's gonna lose. If the hitter has a bad day, I mean, there's eight more hitters. They
Yeah,
got a
it's a different
chance.
type of focus, and you're right. Maybe
Yeah, yeah.
the pressure to be on top of your game is a little bit more for a starting pitcher or bullpen guy like yourself. If say you come in the game with a lead or a tie game, like my guys worked for 6, 7, 8 innings to get to this point. It's like a field goal kicker, right? Like all you got to do is make the extra point and we win the game. And to be on the field for just let's say a tenth of the action and to not perform, so it requires a hell of a lot of focus And not that the position guys aren't focused, because they are.
Yeah,
But,
they are.
one
But
guy
it's a
goes,
different type.
yeah, one guy goes 0 for 4. Everybody else kind of does their job, picks them up. You still have an opportunity to win the game. But if I go out there and give up 5 in the first,
Yeah, if you
not
go,
that it's not impossible to win, but it's a lot harder.
Yeah, no doubt.
Did you guys ever see that clip of Augie Garrido going in the clubhouse and just fucking losing his shit? Infield play, 2-out hitting, basically just blows his stack, and it's a part of a compilation of Augie really getting mad in a couple different series. Does that happen in a big league? Like, will that happen once a year? Will that happen once? Will you see a manager get to that level? Like, because then it breaks out publicly or behind closed doors.
I've never seen it.
No,
I mean,
you
there's
got to
emotions.
check it out. Do you know the clip that he's talking about, Shane?
No, I haven't seen it.
Oh, bro, they so I had a couple buddies that actually played on that team for Augie. One was Kyle McCulloch, really, really damn good pitcher for them, and pitched professionally for a while. But I think they ended up losing a game they probably should have won. The whole team sitting in the clubhouse silent. He busts through the door and just absolutely lays into him, like talking about like our 2-strike hitting fucking sucks. Our base running fucking sucks. And he's like, you guys don't even give a shit. You'll walk out of these doors like nothing ever happened, but I got to live with this game for the rest of my fucking life. Like, just absolutely tears into him. And to answer your question, Carl, you don't see that at the big league level. I'm sure it's happened before. I've never had an experience like that. But in college, you're coaching 18, 19, maybe sometimes 17-year-old kids who might be a little bit more deserving of a kick in the ass like that. But yeah, it's not something you're going to see in a big league clubhouse, really.
Right, it's like the footnote at the end of it is like Texas would go on to win, 14 of their last 15 games to secure first place in the Big 12. So, but to that point, I feel like there is that disconnect at some point where guys are like, "Yo, stop yelling at me, man. You're not my."
We're just older.
Yeah.
It's harder to yell at a grown man that's got a wife and 4 kids.
That's true, and you're professionals at that level. In
Yeah.
college, it's like a lot of the kids, and I think this is why. It's so different coaching though college versus professional baseball. Like in college, and not that in pro ball, some guys don't need like a mentor or a father figure, because they do, but it's much more necessary at the college level. Like these kids are leaving home, and maybe traveling across the country to play college baseball somewhere. They need guidance. They need to be kicked in the ass sometimes, and some guys need to have an arm put around them. So I think that's the difference there. It's in, like Shane just said it perfect. Like when you're a grown man with 3 or 4 kids, like, hey man, like chill the fuck out. Like,
Yeah. It's
we
like, why are you
get it.
yelling?
Yeah, we get it. We're professionals.
We're mad too.
We
Yeah.
fucked up, but that's not the way to react to
Yeah.
it.
When I was in Detroit and we stunk for a while, I mean, there was definitely some times where we got a talking to, but it was more of like a talking to, not like a screaming at. You know what I mean? More like a rally the troops, what can we do better type of talking, not like a light a fire under your ass type of. Yeah, Osmus, and then Gardenhire. Gardy was their managing tactics were probably a little bit different. Gardy was much more make a joke about it, but like more kind of like a serious joke, like a get your shit together, but then laugh at this next line. But when you're not winning games, I mean, I'm sure Jake can attest to this. If you're not winning, everything's a problem. If you're winning, there is no problems, and that's just kind of the way it is.
Yeah, like the little things bubble
Yeah,
up
the
and
little
become
things.
more of an issue.
The guy that's wearing a t-shirt to the field, it's a problem if you got 20 wins on the season. But if you got 100 wins on the season, nobody cares that guy's wearing a t-shirt to the field.
Dude, the worst teams that I was on, they were so concerned about the dumbest shit.
Exactly.
Like, you got to have a collar if you leave your hotel room.
Exactly.
If you're on the road and like, dude, I'm going to get a coffee. I'm walking around the city. I'm wearing shorts and a t-shirt. Like, leave me the fuck alone. No one even knows, no one even knows. Like,
And
I'm
nobody
not.
really cares.
No,
It's
no one really cares.
2022. It's different.
I'm
It's
not.
gotten a lot
Yeah,
better though.
right. But stuff like that, like, come on, come
Yeah,
on. I don't need
yeah.
a collar on to go to the lobby.
No.
Yeah, after working with you for like however 55 episodes, congrats. But the idea of being like, hey, don't wear this, Jake, like you specifically, much less other grown men, and the more I learn about this culture, seems like that would be the fucking easiest way to just piss somebody off for no benefit.
Yeah, and there's culture's changed quite a bit, but old school way of thinking is if you don't have a suit and a tie on, you don't look professional, you don't look good. And obviously that has changed. There's 1,000 different ways to look presentable and look acceptable and look nice. I guess in like a business setting, there's a suit is still like the go-to. But younger guys coming up, there's different, certain things are looked at differently in terms of fashion and style and how to present yourself, which I'm a big fan of, because when you would travel and say, you leave your home city, you're going on the road, and your flight, you're not even getting on the plane until 11:30 or midnight, and everyone's in suits walking into the lobby at 3 a.m. Like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? And I play with some guys who would wear like a sweatsuit under their suit, so they'd get on the plane and just take their suit off. It's old school way of thinking, but now, like, just throw on some nice pants, man,
Yeah, not
and a
many
nice
teams are wearing suits
shirt.
anymore, right? Now the
No,
thing is
there's
like team issue jumpsuit.
sure. I mean, the Padres, we would do that when I was there, just like San Diego sweatpants, hoodie,
Yeah.
like
Yeah, that's nice.
it's kind of a nice uniform thing.
Yeah, that's
Everyone looked
nice.
fine. I mean, as long as you're not, a couple of things that I was on board with is no sandals, like don't wear sandals on the plane, and then like if you have jeans that have a shit ton of holes in them, and I know that some of those are fashionable, but some of the older guys weren't a fan of that. But it was hard for me to tell guys how to dress. Like if
Right. It's
you
a
know,
slippery slope. If you
it
think you
is.
look good in it and this guy thinks you don't look good in it, but you know, he's wearing boots and Wranglers and you think that
Yep.
looks stupid, then it's like, all right, well, who really looks better here?
Sure.
You
Yeah,
know?
I might not be a cowboy fan of cowboy boots, but
Right,
you love them,
right.
and that there's
But
a whole like community of people that's
yeah,
their go-to.
no
I
doubt.
do
It's
love
it's a
boots.
dicey thing.
Hell yeah. Yeah.
Dude, at the
So
All-Star game this past summer, whatever, on the red carpet thing, however many players we saw, if we saw 20 guys, we saw 20 different styles.
20 different
Yeah.
styles.
And
Like
that's the way it
remember,
should
yeah,
be.
we talked with Jay Balvin. Like
Yeah.
he's the Latin
Yeah, yeah.
star like
Yeah.
hugely famous around the world, and he like creates his own clothing, and it's wild shit. A lot of people who aren't familiar with like that sort of culture and style would think like maybe some of the stuff he wears looks ridiculous, but there's millions of people around the world that like respect what he wears and think that it's just as nice or as fancy as a three-piece suit.
No doubt.
Yeah, as I say, Jazz Chisholm, like, let's see what he do. Yeah, he puts up the season he had last year. I feel like Jazz Chisholm wear whatever the fuck he wanted. He was walking around like silk pajamas, just unbelievable
Yeah, it's like guys are
jewelry.
wearing suit jacket with no shirt on under it.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I think that really the NBA kind of sets the tone for what we're allowed to wear that's dressy or not. Because for whatever reason, they get the most pictures of like they're walking into the stadium stuff. And football was kind of stuck in the suit thing for a while, but because the NBA has way more games than football, and they kind of set the fashion, and like the music industry is super involved in the NBA, and that just kind of goes along with like the culture. I think that kind of sets the tone for the rest of the sports as far as like what's dressed up and what's not.
Who would you say is like in other sports? Then would you consider, and not just like individually, but for yourself, but who would be influential then, like in the NBA, as far as players are concerned, when you see it like come out, you
Well,
think
I
players
mean,
like,
like I know for what like 4 or 5 years ago, every time Westbrook showed up to a stadium, he had something wild on.
crazy
You
shit
know
he
what I mean?
wears. Yeah,
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 crazy. And I would never probably wear most of that crazy stuff, but like he's setting the bar like all the way over onto the other side, and then we can all just kind of be somewhere in between, you know. And I remember LeBron wore a suit to the stadium one time, but his pants were shorts.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
that's the only time I've ever seen that. But again, it's all the way over here, and now we can be somewhere.
Yeah. And that's a designer that I actually have. He makes fucking awesome sweatpants. It's a guy named Tom Brown. So I'm not a big fan. It looks like kind of like a private school uniform.
Yeah,
If that's what you're into, cool. But like a suit that's shorts, not. I'm not a fan of it, but I understand why people like wild stuff. And like you mentioned, Westbrook, bro, some of the stuff he was wearing in the stadium, and like, hey, do your thing, but he would like wear skirts and some wild shit. But and the NBA does the best job of marketing the players, and they're so engaged and like intertwined with stars and other industries, artists
I
and
was just talking to my
musicians.
buddy the other day. I feel like if you're in the NBA, immediately you're a celebrity. Like you're not just an athlete. If you're a starter in the NBA, you become a celebrity right away.
The star power there is huge. There are a couple of reasons I think work and play there, but the turnover, I mean, you get in the NBA, you're a superstar. You're there for like 15, 16 years at least. And then you're just your face. Like you see the most of their bodies, like it's always zoomed in on the face. It's just part like
There's
it's
less players.
yeah,
There's a lot of games.
more moments.
Yeah, and I think Major League Baseball is trying to do a better job with marketing their star players. The NBA, and I don't even think they would say that it's perfect, but they do a really really good job of that. Like the facial recognition of the NBA players is it's got to be number one of all the major sports. And, you see Major League Baseball kind of when you talked about players walking into the stadium, like kind
Yeah,
of
they're
getting
doing a better
pictures of what
job.
they're wearing, and they do a pretty good job of that, like in the postseason. Um, but like the NBA guys, I think it's safe to say that most of the star players, all have stylists.
Yeah,
Because
probably.
I know a few of them that like they just get shit sent to them, and they just wear whatever they send. That's not the
Hmm.
way I like to like get my own shit and buy my own stuff, and I don't want somebody else doing it for me. But
Yeah.
I guess it makes it easy. Like you don't have to think about it. Just whatever shows up, you throw on. And all those guys are enormous, so there's no way
Yeah.
they could just go to a store and buy. What are you going to
Bingo.
buy? 34, 42 length
Yeah.
jeans? Like I don't know where the hell they would get them.
Custom, all custom.
100%.
Hey, what about we talk a little bit about the career, if you don't mind, Shane. How's the arm? I have some good news for you.
What do you got?
Well, when we
You got me a
last
job?
almost, I'm working on it. Maybe with this bit right here.
Almost.
Um, I've been doing some research. There was a rule change, pitch clock. I'm going to get into this segment later. The commissioner's office talking to Rob Manfred. Listen to Rob Manfred talk. I didn't think about this until it had just come up, but the pitch clock allegedly is going to work in the favor of pitchers that don't throw like 100%, that aren't out there throwing 97, 98, because the tempo of the game is going to force you to like move quicker. And so one of the inherent things they were saying is that like there's going to be this shift. There could be or should be a shift back towards like command and guys that can like pitch with good tempo within that clock. When we talked last time, you were talking about like, low 90s and missing the sweet spot and stuff. Is that anything that kind of excites you, pitch clock? Does that work in your favor?
Uh, Whoever told you that is lying, in my opinion.
100%. Oh, I'm glad you
Because
said
Dude,
that.
Rob Manfred got on
no,
MLB Network.
He don't
but he's
fucking
never
know.
Looked me in the
no, he's
fucking
never
eyes
pitched
and told
before.
me this.
Dude.
Okay,
He's never pitched before.
Hey, that's okay.
Look up the
He
velocities.
looked me in the
Look
eyes. He said,
No,
"Call."
no, no. Go to the AAA season this year and look up the velocities. Guys are still throwing 1 billion miles an
Holy
hour
balls.
with the pitch clock. The thing with the pitch clock that's going to be an issue in the big leagues that they're going to figure out very quickly is that it's extremely inconsistent as to when it starts. Because it's supposed to start when the pitcher gets the ball back. But sometimes the umpire is over by the fucking dugout because there was just a foul ball and he throws the ball to you Now you got the ball, the clock's supposed to start. Umpire is not paying attention that the clock has already started. You're waiting for him to get behind the plate before you get on the rubber. He's not paying attention to what's going on. Next thing you know, he balls you.
And a lot of this can be decided too by what the batter's doing in the batter's box. Did he
There's
step
just
out a little bit? Oh, hey, I'm running out of
there's
time.
so many things,
But
man.
the hitter's not ready. So do they pause the clock? Do they restart it? It's going to be kind of a shit show at the big league level.
There's too much gray area.
Yeah, it was easy to implement in the minor leagues because like, oh fuck it, the clock ran out or the guy wasn't in the box. That's a strike on the hitter, or it's a ball
Imagine
against the
it's the
pitcher.
World Series, the bases are loaded, and there's a guy on second base, so they're doing multiple signs there. Now you have the pitch count, but even the pitch count thing is kind of delayed, and you get balled because you took too long.
Yeah, I don't know if they would do it in the postseason. Did they say they're gonna? It just kind of like with the runner at second base in extra innings. How
I
it's
will
not
say that
used
it
in the
speeds up the
postseason?
game for sure because I was in AAA for most of the season this year, and the after I was in AAA for like a month, and then I got called up for one game. That one game, I felt like I sat through a 19 inning game after sitting through a month of pitch clocked games. So I will say that they're definitely pace of play, it works, it's effective for that. But the flow of the game, as far as what we're used to when you're playing, it's the worst. When you're not playing, it's great. But when you're in game, it's the worst. So, in my opinion, if it's like a timer to be on the rubber, you can just make the time shorter, put me on the rubber. That's going to speed up the game. But like to actually throw the pitch, I mean, I had to lead the league in pitch clock violations, probably because the amount of time I went in the big leagues where you're taught to take your time because the ball's in your hand, you know? And I spent my whole career trying to slow my heart rate down and slow the game down. And then get there, and I was just get every outing I got at least one ball guaranteed.
See, and it's still too early for like a pitching coach to get mad at you guys, right? Like the pitching coach can't be bitching. A couple seasons from now, the pitching coach will be like, "God damn it, how many fucking?" But right now, I would
Well, it's,
imagine
if they would have just if in my opinion, if you just put the pitch clock in the minor leagues, let the kids get used to it, by the time that they get to the big leagues, the game will be faster.
Well, and
Because we were
that's what's happening for sure. I mean,
yeah
it's only going to be an issue, and I don't know the
for the
exact
older
numbers.
guys.
There there can't be that many guys who. What's the clock going to be?
I think it's like 24
15.
seconds
Is it really,
with a guy on.
bro? If you're
Without a guy, it's less. I think.
yeah, I mean, 24 seconds. That's ridiculous. Like if you can't get it within that, then you do need to speed it up.
it's 15 seconds, bases
Base is
empty,
empty.
20 seconds, runner on.
Okay, I mean,
The
I don't
the
see that.
inconsistency of when it starts though will be the issue.
I
If
agree
they
with
could
you on
figure
that.
out a way for it to be consistent as to when it starts, then it's a non-issue as far as getting balled. The pace of play will be fine, but the inconsistency of when it starts was where I saw the most problems. Because the guy that's up in the box, like he's just hitting start whenever he feels like it should be started.
That's not a bad gig.
Yeah, I
I
don't know how
mean,
much they're paying that guy.
sure. Actually, now I think about it, it's probably a shitty gig. You probably waste more money on Ubers to the stadium than you do in game checks. Kind of a lot of responsibilities that get going. So maybe the pitch clock correlation doesn't help your stuff. Maybe you can convince me otherwise why it doesn't matter. How's the arm? You feeling good?
Arm feels good. I haven't started throwing yet. I got a stem cell injection about 5 weeks ago. I had I had a little flexor, so I went ahead and just got a stem cell injection just to speed up the process. Probably start throwing right around Thanksgiving-ish, and just take it slow.
You're an early throwing program guy, huh? Or is that just because you've had a little bit of injury stuff to deal with? You want to kind of just jumpstart that process.
I'm normally an early guy, but through the years I started getting a little bit later and later and later. But my situation this year, I don't know if teams are going to want to see me throw before they give me a job or whatever it may be. So as soon as I feel like I'm healthy enough to ramp up without putting myself in a situation to fail, uh, as far as health wise, I'll start throwing. But when I start throwing, I'm going to take it super slow for a couple of weeks, just 60 feet light toss, get it moving, and then ramp up into January in case I need to put myself on a mountain in front of some people or
Yeah,
whatever it
that's
may
true.
be.
It's a good point. So, like, Carl, if you're in the situation where, like Shane's trying to get a job and maybe they want to see him, like they want to fly out to see him throw bullpens, you don't want to put yourself in a position where you're like 70% and then you get into the bullpen and you try and go balls out and you fucking tweak something, or you just maybe weren't as sharp or as crisp as you wanted to be for those guys. So like being able to, get yourself to the point where you can spin your breaking ball and you can actually let a few go, because they're gonna want to see some velocity and they're gonna want to see some breaking stuff. And I had to do the fucking same thing before I signed my free agent deal with Philly. I put together like a day where I was facing hitters at a school not far from me, and when there's 30 people there with radar guns, it's hard to hold back. So you want to make sure
your
you're ready for
competitive
that
juices
shit.
get going.
Right, like fuck it. I mean, maybe I said I'm not gonna try and throw much harder than 90, but then you got
It's too late
everyone.
for that.
Everyone out there is holding the gun up. It's like, here, all right, let it fly, whatever.
Yeah, no doubt.
No, I know that feeling.
Yeah.
I see a speed pitch at a AAA game and my blood goes.
Your adrenaline spikes right away.
Can't help myself, guys, especially if there's a couple cute townies around. But overall, okay, so it's always good to talk to you, Shane, because you're such a good friend of the program. But overall, like, health feels good. Off-season outlook seems like you're it seems like you have a pretty good idea what you need to do.
Yeah, I'm chilling.
Yeah.
Talk to people. Well, I was just going to say, talk to people a little bit. So with you've had some injuries, and kind of talk about your process of what your off season looks like. Like, how much time do you give yourself to kind of shut it down, let the body recover, and then you obviously said you'll throw maybe before Thanksgiving. Like, what does a typical day look like when you're training and throwing? Because I don't think people realize, like, we have long days. Like, we wake up early and we're training once or twice, we're throwing, and it's almost like a 9 to 5 deal.
It's almost harder in the off season because you can't do everything under one roof like you can in spring training or in season, But I definitely think that as you go along in your career, you adapt and things change. Like, for example, if you're the 21-year-old kid that's, showing up to minor league camp, you should probably be game ready when you get there because you got to impress some people. You're 5 years into the big leagues. You don't necessarily have to be game ready when you get there. You can actually use spring training to get ready, So there's like things that you have to evolve with along the way. Where I'm at right now, because of my job situation, I'm kind of treating it like I'm the 21-year-old showing up to minor league camp, where like I got to be ready to fucking go when I show up because I need people to be talking about me because the last 2 seasons of my career, I've been easy to forget about. So I just have to make sure people understand that I'm still here.
Yeah, a good point. Yeah.
I mean, it's just like the beauty of baseball. I'm sorry to listen to that because I know you've had so much success, all-star, like you've been, career big leaguer, 300 something, however many appearances, and like even to have that mentality to go back to square one, like that's athletics, that's competing.
I don't know how much everybody knows about my situation leading up to exactly where I am right now, but I made it through 6 years in the big leagues. Finally, make it to free agency. My 5th year, I was an all-star. My 6th year was when I was in Atlanta. That was the COVID year, so we only played 60 games. I pitched in 28 of them. I either was in first or second in holds in the league. So I set myself up in free agency to be one of the top relievers on the market, and I just never got. I might as well have never even got an offer. I mean, the most I got offered was $1 million for 1 year, and so it was just like a whirlwind of emotions for me. I worked my ass off my whole life to put myself in that position to have extremely life-changing money. I thought that I did a good job of laying myself up for that, and then reality set in, and that wasn't the case. Uh, the free agent market was just kind of crazy that year. Um, then I didn't even sign on time. Spring training started, still didn't have a job. Spring training was about to end, still didn't have a job. Ended up going out the drive line because I felt like guys were getting signed and getting paid significantly more than I was getting offered when my career or my last platform seasons were better. Um, but all their stuff they threw harder. Maybe they had a little bit more movement, whatever. So I basically tried to reinvent the wheel. Went to Driveline, did all that shit. Went and saw this guy in Salt Lake. I was basically searching for like I thought I was the shit, and now everybody's telling me that I suck, but I don't understand how. So I got to figure out. I guess if I want to continue to play at a high level, I got to change. And I spent the last probably 2 years of trying to figure out who I was again as a player, as a person. Uh, I ended up signing late with the Braves. Then I sucked ass. They released me, or they DFA'd me. I signed with the Dodgers. I pitched a little better, but then they DFA'd me. And then I went to Venezuela last offseason just to get some innings. Uh, Started off good, then I kind of started sucking again. Came home, signed with the Dodgers, didn't make the team out of camp. And then basically I was in the minor leagues all year and I didn't necessarily have a good season. But it wasn't because of my physical ability, it was because of my brain. There was many days that I was waking up asking myself like, how the fuck did I end up here after everything was said and done. So it was very difficult for me. Then you try to be perfect because you want people to think that you are who you were, and there's no reason why a AAA hitter, no matter how good they are, should be getting a hit off me or whatever it is. You just fight those mental demons every fucking day, and it took me a very long time to get past that. And I think that spending the whole year in AAA this year and uh, now being home and watching the playoffs and just like everything kind of setting in, I truly believe that I'm finally fucking past it. It is what it is. Those ships have sailed, but I know I'm not done playing yet. I know how good I am. I know the type of competitor I am. I know who I am in the clubhouse and what that brings to a team that's trying to win a World Series. So it took me a long time to fucking get my shit back together, but I truly believe that I got that shit back.
Well, that's good to hear, man. And there's players every year that kind of their career is ended by just what you're talking about. Not
The
necessarily.
business will eat you up, man.
Yeah. Well, and it eats you up, mentally more than anything else. And like you discussing kind of what you went through free agent wise, and seemingly not being valued the way that you value yourself. That's hard for guys to swallow, and to be able to self-evaluate and kind of understand that, all right, like you said, it's not physical. This is the way that I'm mentally processing things, and I got to change that. I was in a situation in 2012 where I was up and down, and I was in AAA. My stuff was better than it had ever been, and I couldn't get out of like the second or third inning. And I'm just like, all right, like here we go. This is it. Like I can't compete at this level. I'm never gonna make it, and it was just kind of on repeat, like saying that kind of shit to myself. And am I gonna retire? Can I ever be good again? So if that stuff's going on in between your ears, your physical ability is not able to be put on display. But as soon as you can kind of get over that shit, and I felt sorry for myself at times, and I'm sure you did.
Of course.
You did
Of
also.
course. Of course.
But having gone through that and being able to kind of get out of that hole and kind of reestablish that mental focus, man, that's what it's all about. And if you're healthy, physically, and you've got the right mindset now, I mean, you're obviously on the right track. So
Yeah,
it
for
sucks
sure.
to have to go through that. I went through it for a couple years, and it seems like you have too. Most guys that deal with that never make it out. It's just
Yeah.
they get on that
It's
in
a
that downward
fucking,
spiral, and then
it's a dark place.
it can be. They get on that downward spiral. They don't know how to recover. They might not have the people around them that they're able to like open up to and talk to about certain things. And it's a shame, but there's not enough people out there that can understand what we go through and help us through it. Cause it's damn near impossible to do it by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
You gotta have a good support system, no doubt.
Well, we're gonna be checking in with you. Obviously, you'll be getting some
For sure.
some love with us along the way. And that's just great shit, man. Thank you for sharing
Yeah,
that.
man.
That's heavy shit.
Of course.
But
Yeah, man, that's the bit. I will say that the business will forever be the business. What I've learned the most is everything in life is about timing, and sometimes the timing just ain't right. You know what I mean? Just got to keep going.
I got a team about half a mile away from where I'm sitting that could use some bullpen help. I'll put in a note.
Yeah,
to my buddy
Tom,
Jim.
holler at me. I'm cheap. I'm on the clearance rack, baby.
Appreciate it. I need it, and I got a room
They
for
do need
rent
pitching.
too. So, Shane, thanks so much for jumping on, man. We'll talk soon. Good luck with the process, and keep us posted on everything, man.
Yeah,
man,
for sure. Appreciate you guys having me. Talk to you boys soon.
And there's Shane Greene. I love the close of that. It got me all fired up. I want to go to Driveline right now and get some plyo balls.
Well, yeah, he saw the value in it, and the game has evolved and changed, and there's so much more information, and high-speed cameras and Rapsodos and TrackMans, all this kind of stuff. So, he's trying to take advantage of every resource he can, and I think it was a great move to go there. And I know he learned a lot about himself and trying to find ways to get an edge or an advantage, because a lot of guys have, and some of these guys may have been pushed out of the game prematurely, but now taking advantage of looking at spin rates and spin access and how to maximize your skill set. And a lot of that is through technology. And with this added knowledge, I think he's going to be in a much better place, and I know he feels that way too.
Yeah, like having the perspective and experience, it seems like he's coming in with like just a really veteran mindset. You've been up and down, there, back, as high, I guess, as you could say for a reliever, being an all-star and hitting the market, being like, I'm about to get paid more than anybody else, and now still in that journey. It's just fucking motivating stuff. Like, I was listening to that, I was like, man, I wish I could have talked to him when I was like a freshman in college and just got cut from the baseball team, or, like knowing that big leaguers with that much experience still feel that way about the game is pretty empowering to people throughout the game that struggle with it, or really anything that they're struggling with. Like, that guy's got fucking questions.
Yeah, you question your ability and yourself too when you go through periods of extended failure. I think it's natural to, ask yourself, hey, do I still have the ability to perform at this level, and can I be consistent? And when those thoughts start to spiral around in your mind, your struggles mentally are going to be put on display physically. And I was in the same situation for a couple seasons. Fortunately, was able to kind of overcome that and get to a good place mentally again, and right the ship. But like we had the discussion with Shane about, a lot of guys don't ever kind of recover from that. And that's the nature of every sport at the highest level. Not everybody is going to recover and bounce back, but those that do feel there's a tremendous sense of accomplishment when you can be in those dark places and then kind of dig yourself out and find a way to have success again. It's a good feeling.
Applies more than just baseball, I'll tell you that much. I know that for a fact. Okay, I'm going to punt on qualifying offer. I'm going to punt on this. You're looking at the show outline. We're getting long here. You get me going on qualifying offer and compensation picks and ins and outs and this and that. Let's table that for later in the week if you give me a chance. I want to really nerd out on this because I think it's a thing that gets talked about a lot that baseball fans are subject to, because it's like, well, offer this, comp pick this. here are the implications depending on how much revenue you have. So I have like a pretty simple way I'm going to come back on Thursday morning, talk to the fellas about, and hopefully that kind of clears up any questions. If you guys have other questions about contract stuff you'd want to hear me talk about or explain in layman's terms, like please by all means send it to me. We'll put it up together in a segment. The one thing I want to close with is a crazy story in baseball to me. This is a story maybe not that crazy to people outside of Chicago, but I have been following the Cubs and through Redline Radio what's going on at the White Sox for a number of years. So in 2018, the White Sox drafted Nick Madrigal 4th overall. It was part of the second to last very high draft pick the White Sox had as part of their rebuild, and they used it on the middle infielder from Oregon State. Everybody said, very good player. In my opinion, Nick Madrigal is a good, effective major league player. So they draft him 4th overall, and in 2021, the White Sox then trade Nick Madrigal to the Cubs for Craig Kimbrell, along with Cody Hoyer. Kimbrell pitches in like 20-something games for the White Sox. They use him as a setup man, even though he's like, I don't want to be a setup man, I'm a closer. They use him as a setup man. Things don't go very well. They go into the offseason. They then trade Craig Kimbrell to the Dodgers for A.J. Pollock straight up. A.J. Pollock comes in to be like a right fielder, DH, outfield bat for the White Sox. A.J. Pollock just declined his $13 million option with the White Sox. The White Sox just paid A.J. Pollock $5 million to not play on their team. He is now a free agent. In 4 seasons, the White Sox took the 4th overall pick and turned it into paying a guy $5 million not to be on their team. I can't think of a time when a top 5 pick made it to the big leagues and then was that quickly turned into – it's just tough because these guys, it's not like anybody's playing. Mm-hmm. Madrigal was hurt, but he's still playing well when he's healthy. A.J. Pollock dipped this year, but he still played like 130 games. This isn't any type of crazy anomalous behavior. It's just like they took the 4th overall pick, he got to the big leagues, and they turned it into a $5 million buyout this year. Unbelievable. I don't know if it's bad luck, bad strategy, whatever it is, it's fucking terrible.
I think it could be some of each. Maybe some bad strategy and some bad luck. But yeah, when you kind of go through it like that, seems to be maybe more bad strategy than anything else.
It's White Sox, man. They got enough talent, though. They could win. They could win 100 games next year, and I'll be eating shit for that little rant I just went on. But it just happened.
They're not going to win 100 games.
I know. I wanted to hear you say it, too. Loaded show, dude.
Great shit. A gloomy day out. I'm glad we were in here. We got a lot of recording in. It's good to see your face again.
Thank you.
And we're gonna do it again in a couple days. I love it.
We're gonna have Vinny Pasquantino's on from the Royals. Good Jersey kid, big Jets fan, big corner infield slugger. Should be making a name for himself big time next year in the AL Central. I'll get prepped for that interview. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the Shane Greene conversation. That was cool because I've been those struggles are legit, and I got to reiterate that. It's just fucking cool to get that side of you guys because you big leaguers are so mysterious at times to a lot of people. You don't see that side. So thank you very much to Shane for coming on. We'll be following that comeback story. Maybe it's comeback season, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm looking forward to Pasquantino. A lot of promise there. We'll get to know the guy and have fun with him in a couple days. So that's cool. I'm not very familiar with him. I'm going to do some research, prep, and we'll put together a great show with him.
Guys, go subscribe to Starting 9. We'll be back Thursday morning. Until next time.